Perfect. So let's get started. So today we're going to be discussing fueling success and the impact of breakfast after the bell. So the presentation today discussed the USDA National School Lunch Breakfast Program and some hindering factors, breakfast after the bell and the basics of the program, the implementation plans for your district, and maintenance of the program as well. So breakfast in the cafeteria is the standard USDA National School Lunch Program, and most likely the program that most of us are familiar with. The school breakfast program is a great opportunity to feed children prior to the start of school. However, the traditional breakfast model does not always work for everybody. So just to kind of break that down a little bit, there is unfortunately a stigma around school breakfast. Some students also aren't hungry first thing in the morning. This is more common in your middle school and high school grade levels. Students would rather socialize than eat breakfast alone in the cafeteria. Students don't always arrive on time to school, and sometimes this is out of their control, whether their bus is late or their parent or guardian isn't able to drop them off in time. And unfortunately, because of these factors and so many others that are not listed, New Hampshire ranks 47th out of 50 states for school breakfast participation. So breakfast after the bell is definitely a great opportunity to kind of increase this number and get us a little bit better participation for school breakfast. So breakfast in the cafeteria is the standard USDA National School Lunch Program, like I mentioned previously, and that is amazing and such a great program. But what else can we do to make this program even better? So there is a solution that is on the rise. The school breakfast program operates under the same USDA regulations, however, extends the outreach to even more students. So all students, free, reduced, and paid, must be able to participate in the breakfast after the bell program. Students might be more willing to engage in school breakfast if it's part of their school day, not before school starts. This also ensures that more students are being fed, which leads not only to nutritional benefits such as healthier dietary quality, but also better attention, less fatigue, less behavioral issues, fewer occurrences of absences, and so many more. Ultimately, this program results in improved intellectual performance and academic success. Breakfast after the bell ensures that more students can start the day with a healthy and balanced meal. So how do children qualify for free or reduced price school breakfast with breakfast after the bell? So it's just like the National School Lunch or the National Breakfast Program. So children qualify for breakfast after the bell, just like they do the school breakfast program. Students are going to be determined to be categorically eligible through participation in some federal assistance programs such as SNAP or TANF, or also based upon their individual status, such as homeless, migrant, runaway, or foster. Qualifications are also based upon the student's submitted and approved household income application, which is dependent on the family's household income and family size. So the point of service for breakfast after the bell, it's pretty much the exact same procedure that you would go through the school breakfast program with. So this can be done through your student ID or on a pin pad or a scanning kiosk, whatever works for you in your district. This will help determine the student's eligibility status as they're receiving their meal. So just like in the National School Lunch Program, the goal is to remove the stigma associated with meal charging and eligibility status. Students who take a school breakfast are counted for using the point of sale system or a manual list. Meals must be counted at the POS, specifically the time during the meal service operation where it can be accurately determined by a trained adult that a reimbursable meal is being served to an eligible child. A trained staff member is the one responsible for conducting the point of sale both in the classroom manually and in the cafeteria at the point of sale after the service, if this was not done previously. Meal counts must be taken as students go through the breakfast service line, not by using attendance sheets or a raise of hands. Knowledge of breakfast participation in which students receive free, reduced, or paid breakfast is important for claiming purposes, just like it would be in the regular school lunch program or regular National School Lunch Program or the school breakfast program. The meal counting and claiming process must be kept on file for 3+ the current year, as the state agency can request this information at any time. So the breakfast after the bell meal pattern is the exact same as the school breakfast program. There is no difference between eating breakfast in the classroom or eating breakfast in the cafeteria. Offer first to serve is still a requirement for breakfast after the bell. I just included some screenshots of the breakfast meal pattern. I'm sure all of us are familiar with that, but just for reference. So this is just a quick rundown on the 3 breakfast after the bell models. I will be discussing each of them in more detail in the upcoming slides. But these couple models are just a great down and dirty of what exactly they entail. So breakfast in the classroom is the first model. Breakfast is offered and served in the classroom and eaten in the classroom as well. This process typically occurs during the first period or homeroom. The process should take no more than 15 minutes out of class time or homeroom time. Some classrooms choose to offer breakfast in the classroom during attendance, morning meetings, or quiet time. The next breakfast after the bell model is the grab and go to the classroom. So this is where breakfast is offered and served from one or more central high traffic locations, such as the cafeteria or via kiosks or carts or any other model. Lastly, there's second chance breakfast. This seems like it's a little bit more common in some districts. This model provides an opportunity for breakfast to be served between the first and second period or during a morning break. This model does allow for more students to be at school in a timely manner. More students feel hungrier later in the morning, especially like I mentioned previously, your middle school and high school grade levels. So now just getting into a little bit more detail on each model. So for breakfast in the classroom, breakfast is offered, served, and eaten in the classroom. Breakfast items are still prepped in the cafeteria or the central kitchen. Breakfast items will be delivered to each classroom by the kitchen staff. Students must have the option to get in line to receive a reimbursable breakfast meal. Teachers or kitchen staff that are trained must keep track of the breakfast and if it was a reimbursable meal. This will be entered into the point of sale system when the kitchen staff returns to the cafeteria or if they're able to have a portable point of sale system. Students are required to clean up after themselves. I know this can sometimes be a big concern with the breakfast in the classroom or eating out of the cafeteria. A designated trash can for breakfast should be placed in the hallway for custodian pickup after the meal service has ended. Classrooms are provided with basic cleaning supplies to maintain their classroom tidiness. Again, this process should take no more than 15 minutes. Next, a little bit more detail of the grab and go to the classroom model. So breakfast is offered and served from one or more central or high traffic locations, like I mentioned. Breakfast items are still prepped in the cafeteria or the central kitchen. Again, just like in all the models for the breakfast service, the kitchen staff must keep track of whom receives breakfast and if it was a reimbursable meal. Again, this will be entered into the point of sale system when the kitchen staff returns to the cafeteria or if they have a portable point of sale system. Students return to their assigned classroom to eat their meal. Again, students are required to clean up after themselves. And again, this process should take no more than 15 minutes. These are very quick and efficient breakfast after the bell models. And lastly, second chance breakfast. So just to kind of recap, it's served between the first and second periods or during a mid-morning break. So second chance breakfast can be served in the cafeteria and students can be provided about 15 minutes to eat or to go to grab and go to the classroom. Breakfast is prepped in the cafeteria and held at appropriate cooling and warming temperatures per the regulations. Again, the POS system is just as important in this model. The kitchen staff must keep track of whom receives breakfast and if it was a reimbursable meal. This will be entered when the student picks up the meal, whether it's from the cafeteria or if it was from another central location. Again, students are responsible for cleaning up after themselves. This model itself can sometimes require more time, which could extend the time between class periods. So just make sure all necessary patrons are involved in the planning method if necessary. So this could be your teachers, your principals, anybody else that might be impacted by this schedule change or a time change. If breakfast is eaten in the cafeteria, the same meal cleanup process will be utilized. However, if breakfast is eaten in the classroom, the same cleanup model will be utilized as it is for breakfast after the bell and grab and go breakfast. So a big concern is classroom maintenance. This is a big concern for schools interested in participating in the breakfast after the bell program, just to avoid increasing stress for not only the teachers, but also the custodians, because it does leave a little bit more work on them. So if breakfast service shifts from the cafeteria to the classroom, the cleaning standards should not change. There should be an ample supply of cleaning supplies, such as your paper towels, brooms, wipes, to maintain your classroom cleanliness. If time allows, the responsibility can be assigned to students for specific jobs for breakfast cleanup routines. It's also a good idea to have a separate bin for liquids, such as your milk or your juice, just to make trash cleanup neater. This is often a common procedure that is done in the cafeteria. Once breakfast mealtime is complete, most districts move the trash from the classroom to the hallway. This way you can coordinate with your district staff and the custodians on trash pickup patterns, and it is out of your hands being in the classroom itself. So it's important to recognize what staff members will be impacted by the breakfast after the bell program. So the breakfast after the bell may impact different staff members in comparison to your traditional school breakfast program. Some staff members to consider include, but are not limited to, the principal, kitchen staff, custodians, and teachers. All staff should be educated on the importance of school breakfast, how it can positively impact the classroom and school day experience, what it takes to make the breakfast after the bell program successful, and the implementation plan. You also want to allow all staff members to voice their opinions and concerns to ask questions. This encourages more staff to be open-minded to new breakfast operating opportunities and a more successful implementation of the program. So the school food safety program, so just like with the traditional breakfast in the cafeteria, there must be a generalized school food safety plan for any of the breakfast after the bell models that you might have. So the School Food Authority is responsible for developing a comprehensive food safety program for their specific authority. So this includes a plan for every school, food preparation, and service site. A school food safety program must include the following elements. I'm sure as most are familiar with through just the NSLP and the school breakfast program, but just as a recap, you want to identify and document in writing all menu items according to the process approach, identify and document control measures and critical limits, develop, document in writing, and implement your standard operating procedures, establish monitoring procedures, establish corrective actions, keep your records for 3+ the current year, and review and revise your overall food safety program periodically, as things are always subject to change. So just as a little recap, have you implemented breakfast after the bell into your district, or are you hoping to do so? Here are some just helpful program success indicators to reflect on to see how the programs are impacting your school. So how has incorporating the breakfast after the bell impacted the overall breakfast average daily participation? Has the breakfast after the bell improved the number of days students are tardy? Has the breakfast after the bell improved the proportion of students with academic proficiency? And how are teachers, staff, custodians, and food service staff handling the breakfast after the bell? Are there any things that need to change, be tweaked, updated? Like I said, feedback is always great to receive from all members of the school to make the program as successful as possible. Just a quick little presentation on breakfast after the bell. And here are some helpful resources for you guys as well. Again, thank you for joining me today. Again, due to time restraints, I do have to sign off the call, but please email me if you have any specific questions. And Maddie is available for a couple minutes to answer any questions as necessary. Thank you again, guys.